You have 5 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm here on behalf of the Haringey Alliance for Public Services. It's an umbrella organisation, and it includes representatives of organisations here today, which is Haringey Unison, Haringey Friends of Parks, Haringey Forum for Older People, DayMer Turkish organisation, and myself, Haringey Federation of Residents Associations. And first I'd like to say we all welcome tonight's magnificent demonstration against the savage cuts which are being proposed affecting our communities and public service jobs in Haringey. We're appealing to you as local residents and workers, it's our borough. We're appealing to you as fellow human beings that these cuts are unacceptable, and we're sure you agree. And we're appealing to you, many of us are partner organisations who've worked with the Council extensively to try and improve the lives of people in this borough. Now, I circulated an open letter to all councillors. You've got hard copies with you. I sent it out on email as well. I also sent you a number of documents about parks, about cuts to elderly people's services, and so on. I want to remind you of the promises you all made when you stood for election in April and May 2010. On the back of the open letter, I've included that. In the middle of that, the Lib Dem candidates wrote publicly and stated to the Federation of Residents Associations they would protect and improve public services by taking all possible steps to oppose any cuts to frontline public services or facilities, and so on. You can read the rest. Labour candidates all publicly stated, quote, "Committed to defending frontline services, Haringey Labour will continue to fight for additional funding from all sources to improve services to local people." So you're obviously all opposed to the cuts programme, and we want you to stick to your promises. I just want to remind you, I don't need to go into detail because I'm sure you're all very aware of the savage cuts to the maintenance for our parks and open spaces, 50%. That's, we're glad to see, is opposed by the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, who made recommendations that you shouldn't support those and that you should look again at them. Older people, savage cuts to care centres and homes and respite care. Youth services, we support the youth services campaigners who are defending the youth service. 1,000 jobs and livelihoods under threat. And also savage cuts to voluntary organisations and projects, the core of the so-called big society, are under threat in Haringey. And if you want to ask questions of any of the delegation, please do when I've finished. This is a very rich country. The richest 1,000 people in this country have between them wealth of £330 billion, which went up £77 billion last year in the middle of this economic crisis. It is quite clear that money by the government is deliberately taking money off public services and the poorest people and giving it to the super rich. This is not acceptable, and we are calling on you to make a stand, not to vote for this cuts programme, but to say we are going to step up the pressure on the government, as all councils should be doing, and stand with our communities. So first of all, I am asking you to stick to your promises, to oppose cuts to frontline services, to take a principled stand to vote against those cuts, specific ones that you feel strongly about, and all of them in general. To support the TUC national demonstration against cuts on March the 26th and join the people of Haringey, of which hundreds and hopefully thousands might attend. To support the views put out by the Hackney councillors, and I've printed them here. 6 Hackney councillors have taken a public stand that they will not vote for cuts to public services. I've printed their statement here. You are not alone, and there will be thousands of councillors around the country who will want to do the same thing. Finally, join the Haringey Alliance for Public Services, work with the local communities. It's a growing movement all over the UK, and stand by your local communities and your local public service workers. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to ask...
You have to specify if you want to speak to somebody particularly, so they can come up.
My questions were addressed to the Friends of Parks Forum.
Hello.
I wanted to ask how the Friends of Parks were consulted on the cuts to the parks, various things in parks, including the BTCV and the Parks Force Police, and also to ask you what effect you felt that the cutting of the British Trust for Conservation Volunteers and the Park Force Police would have on our local parks.
Well, we had no consultation about the cuts at all. What we did do was spend quite a lot of years talking with and in partnership with the council, debating how we could get staffing into parks, and that included BTCV and the Parks Police. We together with the council developed the Park Force scheme, which was the first time that we'd seen an increase in the last 10 years or so of on-site staffing, which is the one thing that maintains our parks as safe and beautiful places to be. So we were very involved with people, and we had a lot of consultation. But as far as cuts, we've had none. The only thing we hear now is that somehow people are expecting us to take over the jobs of running the parks, and which we've refused to consult with them over. We've said that we've done what we've done to create cohesive and nice communities in the parks, and that's why we've been involved as people, because we want to make the parks safe and relaxing and beautiful places for people and for wildlife. We haven't done it because we want to be part of the state machinery, or because we want to take over the jobs of people who are supporting families in the borough. So no, in answer to your question, we have not been consulted, and also we see that if we only have eight or whatever will be left of the workforce, gardeners working across all the parks in the whole of Haringey, then we can only see a return to those bad days in the 80s that created all the friends groups, when we couldn't go into our parks because there was only one person in there, and that person was likely to be doing you some damage, or there was prostitution or drug addiction going on in the bushes. Now, at least we through our great partnership with Haringey Council and with the work of all the local people that are involved in 40 plus groups across Haringey, have created a situation where we've got huge number of green flag parks, the basic minimum standards for parks in this country, and I think we only look at it with despair, really.
Jose Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Morris, can you tell me, apart from the councillors who you've lobbied very well, then I'm assuming that you have actually lobbied the members of Parliament. Can you tell me whether you've actually seen them face to face, what they have actually said to you, and what's been the reaction of your umbrella group into their response given by the MPs?
Well, I think a lot of people are lobbying a lot of people. It's not really a secret what's going on in this country. Everybody in authority and power is quite well aware of how deep and savage these cuts are. As for me personally, last week I was on a deputation to Lynn Featherstone MP about the package of cuts to housing benefits, to decent homes. It was a housing issue, and we were saying if she's Equalities Minister, she ought to be opposing most of the policies that are coming out of the current government that are attacking the poorest and most vulnerable people in this country. Apart from that, you have the power to say no, you are not going to implement these cuts. I urge you today to vote no to this whole cuts package.
Right, final questions. Councillor Stanton? Sorry.
No. Till 10 o'clock, and we've got 3 deputations and
Councillor Stanton, very quick one.
Very quick. You've said in your letter here, Dave, that we are like somebody who says that, like a shopkeeper who sells knives to teenagers, who sells knives to teenagers because someone else would do it if we didn't. But you're very well aware that if we didn't make these cuts, they would be imposed by our officers. So how would that help?
It would help if you refuse to implement this cuts programme, because it becomes a democratic crisis in this country if councillors are basically standing up to the government and refusing to cooperate. At the moment, the crisis is all at our level, at the grassroots. It's our crisis. We ought to be making this together the government's crisis. They can't impose their cuts without deselecting councillors and putting chief executives in charge of the budgets. Therefore, the cuts will have no legitimacy. If you collaborate with them, the government says it's all working fine, everyone's beavering away making these cuts, so it's all working, let's carry on doing it.
Right, can we thank you for your deputation? And I think we have to move on. Councillor Corbett, would you like to respond?
Very briefly, Mr Mayor, I have to disagree with Dave when he says it was a magnificent demonstration this evening. All we've done is reduce the amount of time that local people have to put their views forward to us, and I think that's a disgrace. I also doubt that Unison, whose members have been attacked this evening, physically attacked, could stand there and say it was a magnificent demonstration. We've had the debate before, and Councillor Stanton has put the point forward. We do not have an option to be martyrs, to resist cuts. We either set a legal budget or officers have to set it for us. The law has changed. There's no opportunity for heroes or martyrs, just very difficult and real decisions to make. You can quote to us what we said during the election. You'll notice that my party didn't win the election nationally. We went into the election saying that we would halve the deficit in the spending cycle, and because of that we would have minimised frontline cuts in a way that hasn't happened now. We will be marching, however, with you on the 26th of March. I'll leave my comments there. Thank you for your deputation.
Right, okay.